A young man lived with his father and mother. One day, the old man said to his son, "You are our only child. You must marry and have children." So, the old man arranged a marriage for his son with a fine young woman, whom the young husband loved dearly. After a year, the woman gave birth to a baby boy. The family lived together happily, but they were very poor. The young man and his father worked diligently in the fields, while the young woman and her mother-in-law labored hard at home, yet they never had enough to eat. One day the young man said to his father, "This small farm is insufficient for our family. Let me go to the town to find work. I will earn some money and bring it back to you." The father was saddened and said, "You are my only child, and we need you here at home. However, you are right. The farm is too small for us all. Go to the town, find work, and earn some money. We will wait for you here." So the young man kissed his son and said goodbye to his parents and wife, beginning the long journey to the town. After traveling for 2 days, he finally reached the town. He stopped at the first large house and knocked on the door. When a man answered, the young man asked, "Is there work for me here?" The man replied, "No, my friend." The young man continued walking, knocking on many doors and asking the same question, but the answer was always no. No one had work for him. Exhausted and very hungry, the young man thought, "I must find work soon, or I will die." Eventually, he arrived at a monastery and knocked on the door. An old monk answered. "Please, father," the young man said, "let me work for you." The monk asked, "How long will you stay?" "Just a few months," replied the young man. The monk started to close the door, saying, "If you work for us, you must promise to stay for a very long time." Desperate, the young man thought, "If I don't find work today, I'll die of hunger." "Father," he said, "please don't close the door. I promise to work for you for a long, long time." The monk smiled and said, "Come in, my son." The next day, the young man began his work. It wasn't difficult, and the monks were kind to him. He worked hard, and they were pleased with his efforts. A month passed. Initially, the young man thought of his family every day, wondering if his son was well, if his parents were happy, and if his wife had enough food. Gradually, he began to forget his family and became content with the monks. "You are an honest man," they told him, "and we trust you to manage our money." The years flew by. One day, while counting the monks' money, the young man heard children's laughter outside. He looked up and thought, "Are my son and family happy?" He stood and peered out of the window, asking himself, "How old is my son now? How long have I been here?" He realized, "I've been here for 10 years. The next morning, the young man approached the monks and said, "I have served you for 10 years and worked diligently. You have never paid me. I now wish to see my family. Please give me the money owed and let me go." The monks smiled and said, "You have worked hard. Now, you can choose. Would you like us to give you your money, or do you want our blessing?" The young man frowned, replying, "I want your blessing, but I also want my money." "We owe you 400 silver dollars," said the monk, "but each blessing costs $100. The young man reluctantly agreed. "Give me your blessing. It is better than the money." The first monk blessed him. "Do not stray from the path. Do not turn to the right or left. Just keep straight." The second monk blessed him. "Soon you will be a guest. Obey your host and accept what they give you." The third monk blessed him. "Do not be angry. Always think before you act. The monks then gave the young man a sack of silver dollars. He left the monastery and soon met two men who were walking together. They invited him to join them, saying, "Walk with us, and our journey will be more interesting." The young man agreed, and the three continued together until they reached a crossroads. One of the men said, "Follow me, I will show you a better path," and turned left. The other man followed. Remembering the first monk's blessing, "Do not go to the left or the right," the young man smiled and said, "I'm sorry, but I must go straight." He bid the men farewell and continued on his path. He crossed a river and climbed a hill when he heard shouts. Looking back, he saw the two men being attacked by robbers. He wanted to help, but feared for his life. Grateful for the monks' first blessing, he realized it had saved him from the robbers. He continued down the road, tired, hungry, and thirsty, seeking a place to sleep. As darkness fell, he spotted a light in the distance and hurried towards it. The light came from a small house on a hill. He knocked on the door, and an old man with white hair and fine clothes welcomed him in. The old man said, "Please, come in. I will fetch some water and wash your feet." The young man felt embarrassed, thinking he should not allow the noble old man to wash his feet. However, remembering the second monk's blessing to obey his host, he sat down and allowed the old man to wash his feet. The old man then clapped his hands, and a young girl entered with a dish of delicious food. The old man instructed her to feed the guest. The girl, who was blind, fed the young man, who ate well and then rested. He woke up early the next morning, thanked his host, and prepared to leave. As he saw the old man clearly now, he noticed the man's sharp, cruel features. "You are fortunate," the old man said, "that you accepted my hospitality. Many who came here refused and were killed. Their bodies lie beneath your feet." The young man was terrified. "And the girl?" he asked. The old man replied, "I blinded her to make her my servant." The young man decided he must escape from this dreadful man. "Thank you, but I must leave," he said quickly, and as he was leaving, the old man called him back, offering him a sack. The young man took the sack, ran down the road, and found it filled with silver dollars. "The monks have saved my life again," he thought, "and their blessing has made me rich." He hurried home, thinking of how happy his parents and wife would be. Despite the heat and exhaustion, he knew the road well and was close to home. Near a church, he saw a crowd watching an old man and a boy fighting. The young man was angered by the boy's disrespect, but remembered the monk's third blessing. "Do not be angry. Always think before you act." He asked a nearby woman about the fight. She explained that the old man was the boy's grandfather, who had been abandoned 10 years ago by his son. The old man had been unhappy and suicidal, and the boy was trying to help him. Tears welled up in the young man's eyes. "Father, my son!" he shouted, pushing through the crowd to help. Seeing his father on the ground, he helped him up and said, "Father, is it really you? Have I truly come home?" "Yes, Father," the young man replied, "and I will never leave you again." He returned home with his father, son, mother, and wife. They embraced him, crying, "You've come home only to die. We have no food. We ate our last meal yesterday." The young man opened his sack and revealed the silver dollars, along with the extra $100 from the monks. "I haven't come home to die, but to live," he said. "The monks have blessed us, and now we will be happy for the rest of our lives."